All right.
Did you just make me tall for the first time in?
I made you taller but smaller. I don't know if that works.
Yeah.
If that works for you. What was that?
Can you hear my dog chewing on our bone?
I cannot. Are you sure that's your dog?
Why Hatsumi Sensei? What drew you to Japan to go find him? Was it because he was a grandmaster of ninjutsu? He was in all these books and magazines?
Well, look, to be honest, I never knew about Hatsumi Sensei when I started the Bujinkan. I didn't know who he was. My first introduction to the Bujinkan was through my first teacher, right? So I had basically given up on martial arts, like I've said before in other videos, but when I went to see this dojo and I saw the movement, that's what spoke to me. I didn't. You could have called Hatsumi Sensei the Grand Poobah, or whatever, or whatever you wanted to call him. It didn't matter to me because when I saw the taijutsu, that's what spoke to me. I was like, I was looking for something that was gonna work in my life. That was given me to enrich my life, enrich my experience of this life, and feel safe in the world. And when I experienced that taijutsu, I was like, okay, I want to know more about this. And you have to understand, this is from a student of Hatsumi Sensei's, right? This is from, maybe I can say the names. This is from Stephen Hayes' student, Mark Russo. And so, we're getting 2 iterations down, but still, when I saw this taijutsu, it spoke to me deeply. And I thought, I want to know whoever this person is who taught them. I didn't know he was a grandmaster. I'd never seen those ninja booms. I'd never been around for the ninja boom, really. My introduction was through a person. So I wasn't kind of chasing any kind of a grandmaster vision or dream like that. And I think at this point, people have, kind of gotten a little confused about those kind of titles, right? With now there's 8 sokes of the Bujinkan, right? And I think that's wonderful that there's 8 sokes. I think it's absolutely wonderful, but I think some people are getting focused on, that title of soke or dai shihan or shidoshi or shihan or whatever title it is. They get a little bit focused on that. Well, what rank are you, kind of thing? And for me, it never mattered. The rank never mattered. I have literally, 30, 40 ranks from when I was in karate and aikido and other things like that. And when I look back at them now, they're worth nothing to me, right? I live in an old house here in Japan, right? And so they're good for some things. I can stuff them in the cracks of the walls so the wind doesn't blow in. You know how these old Japanese houses are, right? Or if it gets really bad, I can burn them, and get the heat from them, right? But I think people are starting to focus a little bit in a wrong direction. Not I would say wrong, but it's natural. But they focus on those titles, and I think for me, it wasn't about the title or anything like that, or meeting a grandmaster. It was because I had an experience with the taijutsu that led me to Hatsumi Sensei eventually. And I was looking for somebody, I didn't know it at the time, but someone who had conquered themselves, who had mastered themselves, if that makes any sense. When I saw Sensei, when I met Sensei, it seemed like he had mastered himself. And because he's master of himself, he was able to maybe communicate with all of us on all these different levels and things like this, and convey a message not only of taijutsu, but of a sort of polishing of the heart, so to speak. And this is what really spoke to me about it. Unfortunately, this is kind of a ridiculous topic, but I think maybe I should address it a little bit. I think some people, chase rank a lot. And that's fine. I understand that rank serves a purpose, and I think it's very, very useful to have, right? Keeping people motivated, training, and things like this. But, I never was chasing the rank. I was always chasing Hatsumi Sensei. I was always trying to, just figure out Hatsumi Sensei. I wasn't trying to figure out about ranks. And the funny thing about the ranks is that, people think that ranks go in this kind of linear fashion, right? From first dan to second dan, third dan, fourth dan, fifth dan. My ranking from Hatsumi Sensei was more like the stock market. I had serious rises in my rank, then I had serious market crashes in my rank. It was literally hysterical when I think back at it. I think there was a time when I was like an 8th dan, and I'd be in the dojo training, and Sensei would say, "Oh, Paul, man, you're moving really good today. You know, I think you're ready for your sixth dan." I was like, "What?" Yeah, I was like, "What?" The first time it happened to me, it's kind of shocking. You're like, "What?" And then you're like, "Oh, yes, you're absolutely right. Maybe I'm better at." You're wondering. You start to read into it. Am I moving like crap? Is he trying to tell me something? And so I had some serious ups and downs there. Through the whole ranking process. There were times where I'd get to be like the ninth dan, and he'd be like, "Paul, you're really good. I think you're ready for seventh dan." And so at the end there, he'd be like, "Paul, what rank are you?" And I'd be like, I'm confused, Sensei. I don't know what rank I am. What are you? Tell me what tell me what rank I am today. It was fun like that. Because I didn't really care about those ranks. I remember when I was supposed to be a 10th dan, he kept saying, "Paul, get three recommendations." And I was like, "Okay, I'm on it." And of course I never got them. I was never proactive about that. I just kept training. I was so busy training with him that I didn't really even think about getting 3 recommendations. And he kept saying, "Paul, you need to get those 3 recommendations in." I'd be like, "Okay, I'm on it, Sensei. I'm getting it together. I'm gonna have it for you, next week. And next week coming. Well, you need to get that. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get it." So one day at ISA, he's just like, it's like, "Damn it, He's like, "Noguchi Sensei, would you write him a recommendation?" He's like, and I can't remember else it was. One of the other Japanese Taishan. He's like, "Can you write this guy? And I'll write one." He's like, "Here, just take this now, and just go." Yeah. So
Sensei wrote one of your recommendation letters.
Yeah, I think he kind of waved it. He's just like, "Okay, whatever. Just He's like, "Just take this finally," and and just. So yeah, I had ups and downs. Even after I was 10th dan, he's like, he'd be like, "Paul, have you gotten your 8th dan yet?" And I'm like, I'm like, "I'm not sure. Have I?" I didn't want to, tell him straight up, So, but it was fun, and I think that made a lot of fun training with him. But so I never really worried about that, and I understand, at some points I did get tickled by the rank fever, when everyone else was getting like these, huge ranks, like, Dai Shihan and things like they say, and, of course, he didn't mention it to me at all. He was just like, "Yeah," just like, and I was like, "Wow, man, I wonder if I did something wrong, and then, so I mean, it was funny, and I think he did that on purpose a lot to kind of test us and challenge us, and so I think that was good for a lot of us how he did that with us. That being said, sometimes I see people that want to be like the one, right? They're chasing it so hard, and they want to be the number one. They want to be a Soke, or they want to be a Dai Shihan, or they want to be this or that. And the funny thing is, when you want to be that one, when you want to be the top dog, when you want to be on top of people or in the spotlight, when you want to be the one, you're definitely not the one. And you definitely cannot be the one. You see what I'm saying? It's impossible. Because sometimes it's sort of hard to wrap my thoughts into words, but let me just try to explain this. Is that, in Japan we have these things called ryuha, which means a lineage, right? You probably heard that word before. Like Togakure Ryu, right? Now this word ryu means like a stream or a current, right? In Japanese we say nagare, right? You might have heard that in some of the kata and things like this, right? Nagare, right? So it's a flow or a current or a stream or a big river. And these streams of these rivers of, say, like Togakure Ryu or any of these other lineages, I mean, these go back, especially like a Togakure Ryu lineage. I mean, it goes back, almost at the beginning of time, since the beginning of people started, you know, moving in martial arts, right? This Togakure Ryu. And, it's going to go on till the end of man, most likely. This is a huge, vast river. And so I ask you, can any one man carry a river? It's impossible to be the one. No one man can carry this river. I know people are going to lose their minds and probably say, "No, Paul, what are you talking about? You're a freak," And it's true. Maybe I could be a freak. But here's the deal. I think a true master is someone who jumps in the river. Right? You can't carry the river, so you got to jump in it. You got to let the river carry you, right? You can't carry the river, but the river can carry you. And that's the first step, right? Is to let the river carry you. The second step for like a true master is somebody who has dissolved into the river. All right? You get that? A true master is someone who has fully entrusted the river and he's lost himself in the river. So he's become the river and the river has become him. So you see, he's not the one either. Because he's not there anymore. He's not there to be the one anymore. He's with the river, moving with the river. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. We've talked a lot about how Hatsumi Sensei is kind of hard to pin down. His intention's hard to pin down. And he often doesn't fight against changes in the Bujinkan or changes to what around him. He kind of has a way of flowing with it. Is this what you're talking about?
Yes. Yes. Here, I got some thoughts here. Let me just throw them out when you ask me that question. Yes, he's like the river. He's flowing, right? And the river, they say a river, you can never step. You probably heard this before, but I'll say it again. You can never step in the same river twice because everything's changed. Right? People, and this is a kind of a philosophical example, but the water has totally changed, right? It's different water. The bottom of the river is somewhat different. The organisms are different, right? Everything's flowing, right? So you can never step in the exact same river twice, right? And since he's like a river, he keeps flowing, so he's always changing, right? And this is something that goes back to our expression banpen fugyo, right? Which means, like infinite change without us becoming perturbed or disturbed by it. It says fugyo, which means not surprised, right? So we're in the midst of all of this change and we're not perturbed. And one of the reasons I think is because you become the river and you're moving along with that change. You're not resisting the change. Right? You can be like a little toothpick floating on that river and try to stop the river, but it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? You can be like a little toothpick and you go against the river and say, I'm not letting this river pass me, right? But you're still going to get carried out to sea. All right? Or you can be like a master who has dissolved himself into the ocean, into the river, and is moving down towards the ocean naturally, along with the changes. Now, again, going back to that thing about people wanting to be the one. It's just these things are dawning on me now. But for example, if you say you want to be the one, well, then you could take part of that river and put it in a bucket, right? And then you are the one, right? You're the one, but you are no longer associated or even connected with the river anymore, right? You literally cut off your connection with the flow, with the stream, with the life of the Ryuha. If you claim to be the one, right? You're in a bucket by the side of the river now. And it's such a small thing, a bucket, right? And we all know what happens with water that's standing still, or it becomes stagnant, right? And rots, and it's no good. But the river is flowing, and that's what creates life and enhances life. So, yeah, don't be like the bucket. That's what I'm trying to say. Jump in the river and allow the river to carry you in the beginning. And if you can, then you can just eventually dissolve into the river. And that's what I felt when I felt Sensei, that he had dissolved into the river, into the Togakure Ryu River. He's no longer there. He's just allowing the river to move him and moving with it. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Paul here. If you like this content, please let me know in the comments below. I'm happy to do more. If you enjoyed the video, if you got something out of it, go ahead and hit that like button now, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, and consider making a contribution to our study center. Links in the description below. Thanks a lot. See you next time.